When I heard the news that we could reopen again, it was mixed actually. It was nice being able to have the shop open again and obviously have that control. You know, obviously if the shop's open, you have a better chance of selling more stuff and making some money basically. We didn't really have any money and money was running out, so it was a real balance. When we did first open, the first 2 weeks were awful. Of the first 12 days we were open, 6 days we didn't actually have a person in the shop and we didn't take a single penny, which was quite demoralising if I'm being honest. So we kind of did question, did we actually need to be open, or could we have just carried on running the online side of things at the time? As soon as we got through that initial 2 or 3 weeks, trade did start to pick up and we actually had a really strong summer. I would say being open again did save the business. Then when we added in the online side of business as well, it actually became quite a profitable period. The problem we had was just physically getting our stock made up. Normally we would get things printed up and turned out in about 10 days. It was taking about 4 weeks. So that was the issue we had of physically running out of stock and having the money built up behind us to be able to buy the stock to bring it in. So it was quite a tricky one, but realistically being open did survive the business and make us be able to carry on, to be honest. When the stricter lockdowns came into cities like Leicester and parts of Yorkshire, I did think York did have a pretty decent chance of going into stricter lockdowns as well, or a local lockdown should we say, just because of the amount of visitors it gets. When they announced the tier systems in October, York went into tier 2 I believe, which meant, you know, retail and things could carry on opening. But when you're surrounded by areas that were in higher tiers, people were always going to still come to York, so it was kind of, people were always going to come from higher tiers. How you would stop that, I think it's virtually impossible, and I think that's probably the biggest issue with tiers. However, balancing it up, it does mean that businesses can stay open and can function. When the second lockdown was announced in November, I'll be honest, I didn't see a national lockdown coming, and I would probably say that was harder to get through than the initial first lockdown, just because it was so close to Christmas. I didn't expect it, and for us, from a personal perspective, from a business perspective, November's such a good month for us. It's that build up to Christmas. When we shut for November, that was pretty difficult to get through. So we were almost taking it day by day through November, and then when they announced we were potentially going to be open in early December, it was, are we definitely going to be open then, or is it going to be pushed back? But every week you lose in December is like losing a month any other time. So it was a real tough month to get through, was November. When the third lockdown got announced, I don't think it was really surprising, but I think we had a pretty good idea. We'd planned as a business to be shut in January. The biggest the biggest risk that we face, planning, you know, a month open, then closing for a couple of months, back and forth, it's just not sustainable. It's not sustainable for anyone. Obviously now we have the vaccine, which is massive, obviously. The more people we can get vaccinated, the quicker as possible. And again, that's the point of this third lockdown, because then obviously you can have that balance then of knowing more people are vaccinated, therefore the rate of death and infection is, you know, we all want that to come down. It has to come down. And you can also open up businesses, and so you can kind of play both together. So that's my biggest fear, is if we just keep going from month open, month shut, you just can't keep doing that. For us, the plan is to keep growing and to grow our own range more and more. We've gone from having 2 or 3 designs, I think, at the start of 2020, to now we've got an entire shop and we've got more designs coming in. We're working with local artists and designers and keep growing our following, I suppose, and kind of be known in York and Yorkshire and hopefully one day in the whole of the country. But I do feel very positive about the future in terms of small businesses and independent businesses. Going forward throughout the rest of the year, you know, we hope that all businesses survive and obviously keep performing. I think the most important thing that people can continue to do is to support local, but councils and local bodies need to get behind that as well. There is a place for Amazon, there is a place for Primark, and there is a place for shops like Winston's. You know, we can all coexist, but there has to be a balance, and it's where local councils, local governments need to come in and see, how can we get people in? The future of city centres was struggling before COVID. It's going to struggle for a lot longer to come. The best way of getting ourselves back up and running is to support what's still here, what's still standing. We are still here. We can be a big part of York, and a lot of the other independents can as well, but we have to be supported, and we have to make it as easy as possible from people from surrounding areas and boroughs of York to come into York. It has to be the case.